Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to present this work with the first author is Walter Zegada Lizarazu, that unfortunately couldn't attend, so I'm going to present for him. And the title is Sunn Hemp a valid biomass feedstock in temperate climates? We know that the context in Europe is we have a binding target of 14% share that we should reach for the transport sector regarding the renewable energies, and of which we have a 3.5% of this share that should come from advanced biofuels. Plus, we have some cap obligations binding the crop rotation management and soil nutrients. So in this framework, we know that the demand of lignocellulosic feedstock should increase up to 20 times in the next decades. And the forecasts talk about 100 million hectares that will have to be dedicated to the production of biomass for biofuels. So how is it possible to reach this target that are very, very demanding? We know that in Europe, the arable land are actually widely used, widely managed as with traditional crop rotation, such as maize and wheat. So this traditional rotation leaves some gaps to be filled. There is this possibility to introduce dedicated lignocellulosic crop that can grow within the food crops, so without compete with this food crop, but they can grow in these gaps left by the traditional rotation. And these specific fields specifically tailored and dedicated to the biomass production for biofuels. This is an opportunity. Of course, there are also the possibility to use marginal land, as we heard from the previous session. But in order to reach this demanding target, in our opinion, we should explore all the different possibilities that we have. So which are the characteristics that this crop, this catch crop that should be introduced within the crop rotation should have in order to be eligible, to be good crop for biofuels production? They should be, of course, fast growing and high biomass yielding. They should be resistant, so to pests and to drought possible. And they should require low inputs, and they should be adaptable to the current agricultural production system and to different environment and different kind of soil conditions. So one of these crop is Sunn Hemp, Crotalaria juncea, that is originated from India, where it's traditionally grown as a fiber crop. And then it spread also in other subtropical areas of the world, like Brazil or United States, used as a green manure or a forage crop, cover crop. But actually in temperate climates of Europe is not widely known. It's a kind of a new crop for our environments. This crop has got high yields. It is a legume crop, so it has the ability to fix nitrogen into the soil, and plus it can control some root knot nematodes, suppress some kind of weeds, and it is also traditionally cultivated in rotation with crops such as rice, cotton, sugarcane, coffee, and tobacco. So the objective of this work is to characterize the performance of the mentioned crop, Sunn Hemp, as a possible feedstock for biofuels in temperate climates. So basically was to test different agronomic input, such as the row spacing, harvest time, different sowing tillages, and 2 different varieties. through 2 years, 2 growing season, 2016 and 2017. So regarding the row spacing, we tested 3 different row spacing, a narrow one, 22.5 centimeters between the rows, a medium, 45 centimeters, and a large, wide, 70 centimeters between the rows. And we tested 3 harvest times on 2 varieties. So we had an harvest time that was at the beginning of flowering, another harvest time at full flowering, and the last one at the beginning of seed pod formation. Then we tested 3 different tillage methods, no tillage, minimum tillage, and conventional tillage. The parameters that we measured to growing season, we test all these different agronomical input are the phenology, plant height, number of leaves and ramification, light interception, leaf area, and biomass yield. So in this table, as you can see, there is the response of the biomass yield, varying the 2 different cultivars and at 3 different harvest time. We found that the significance was only between the harvest times, where the crop yielded the highest biomass at full flowering and at seed pod formation. So no interaction were found between the cultivar and the harvest time. Regarding the leaf area index that we measured during the growing season, we found that there is a difference. There are differences between the cultivars. So the Ecofix one was presented a higher leaf area index compared to the Crescent Sun variety, and the full flowering stage was this stage where the leaf area index was at its maximum. This is the figure representing the light interception at different canopy layers, and it's interesting to imagine the canopy architecture of the plant. As we can see, for both varieties, there is a decreasing trend with the maximum light interception at the apical and intermediate canopy layers, whereas at the basal canopy layer, the light interception is significantly lower. This is the varying the 3 different crop row spacing. We had different biomass yields with the 45 centimeters crop row spacing performing better than the other 2 tested. And this is important. It reached around 11.5 tons per hectare of biomass. And this is important because the 45 centimeters row spacing is the same that the farmers of the area uses for sorghum cultivation. So they can basically use the same planter with the same setting, just they have to change the number of seeds on the row, but they basically can use the same equipment. Plus, with this distance between the row, they can perform mechanical weeding as they do for sorghum without using any chemicals. That, of course, being a new crop, we don't have yet any registered pesticides, herbicides, sorry, for this crop. So this is very important. Other parameters that we measured, such as the number of ramification, varying the 3 different tillage methods. As you can see, going from no tillage to conventional tillage, we see a trend of decrease in the number of ramification of the plant and also in the plant height at harvest, whereas no differences were found between the total number of leaves and the biomass yield. But this is this figure is interesting because we see that with the no tillage practice, we didn't have any reduction in the final biomass yield compared to the minimum and the conventional tillage. Finally, the light interception changes varying different tillage methods that we adopted. So even the light interception was higher in the no tillage plots compared to the minimum tillage that showed intermediate values, and the conventional tillage that showed the lowest values. So there were a kind of positive correlation between the light interception and the average number of ramification that we measured during the crop growing season. So concluding, we can say that Sunn Hemp seems to be well suited to our temperate environments as a sun, and yielded acceptable levels of dry biomass. We said reached 11.5 megagrams per hectare, grown after wheat, so as a double crop, as a catch crop, especially when it is harvested at its full flowering stage or seed pod formation stage. Finally, the no-tillage seems to be a feasible practice at our latitudes, and there is a positive correlation between these, between the canopy branching and the interception capacity and the biomass yield. So I would like to thank you for your attention and wait for any question you have.